Let's go live to Washington now. Joining me is Mark Watson. He's the director of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute in DC. Mark, thanks for your time. Let's take a broader look at this conflict now, and particularly the response from not just our nation, but our allies, like-minded countries. And I think of particularly India, its reaction more like China's than it has been ours. Is that a threat to the Quad, our quadrilateral security arrangement?
No, I don't think it is, Kieran. Russia's situation vis-a-vis India and Russia is very different to Australia and Russia or the other countries. India gets around 50%, between 50 and 70% of its military material and hardware from Russia, including really critical weapon systems like the S-400 air defence system. And it's beyond just the military, it's economic, it's technological. There's an enormous amount of cooperation between Russia and India, and it goes back to the Soviet Union days. It's not surprising that they're trying to walk a very careful line here with Russia. But, you know, it's not just Australia that's been urging them to speak out. Obviously, the US and Japan have both been putting pressure on India to say more and do more. But I think they've probably come to accept that India's situation is very different from ours.
Joe Biden to visit Poland over the next couple of days. How important is that, not just as a gesture, but I guess to coordinate the ongoing support right there on the border in Eastern Europe?
Yeah, it's part of a broader European travel program. He'll be going to Brussels, I think, on Wednesday, Washington time. He'll be talking to NATO and EU. But of course, Poland, you know, is in a very precarious position. It sits right on the border with Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia itself, and it is receiving millions, literally millions of refugees coming across from Ukraine. So I think Joe Biden's visit is going to do a number of things. On the one hand, it'll be a humanitarian visit to shore up US support for humanitarian needs that Poland might have trying to deal with this massive influx of refugees. But also it's very much about reassuring Poland that its US ally stands with it, because the Russians really have, Dmitry Medvedev, for example, a senior Russian security official, really taking a pretty significant swipe at Poland and making veiled threats. So having the president come at this time will be a most welcome reassurance to the government and the people of Poland.